Hi everyone. I'm Gary Talati Lam and principal for Dubule Contracts. We are a specialist fit-out company in the F&B industry based in London. Very busy time right now. A lot of people coming back to the normality and so on. Most of our clients for current projects include San Carlo, the IB Group, Soho House. Sorry, I'm forgetting a couple of few names, but yeah, quite a busy period with a lot of good clients right now in Dubule. So the teams are very busy. Thank you.
Fabulous. And you're based in London, aren't you, Gary?
Yes.
Yeah. Fabulous.
Well, we are having works all over UK right now. So there are projects in Nottingham, Manchester, Sexy Fish in Manchester. That's the other client, which is quite a big thing in London. I know. I can see David's face there going.
Well, we'll have to learn. We'll have to hear more about that for sure. And Kevin, just remind us about Guild Prime and what Guild Prime does.
Yeah, hi there. Yeah, I'm Kevin. I'm the CEO of Guild Prime Specialist Contracts. We're a high-end fit-out company. We work across the UK and across Europe. We work in sort of sectors, prime residential, retail, five-star hotels, football stadia, and sporting venues, all over the UK. That's what we do.
Fabulous. And recently involved in the Queen's Jubilee as well, if I can recall.
Yes, we had quite a rush project for the Chelsea Flower Show. That was quite a task to get that over the line. Yes, it was 7 weeks of everybody. Everybody putting their back into it. It was 24 hours, 7 days a week to get that over the line. It was getting close to me having to call the Queen to tell her that could she just delay it for a few days, but we managed to get there.
Well, I'm glad, because in the UK we're still taking the bunting down from all the celebrations. So it's really, really great to hear you involved in that. So Jim, I'm going to come to you first just to find out a little bit more. Obviously, we've had a very challenging couple of years, I think that's fair to say, within the businesses. But what's going on in Boulder Sausage at the moment, and what are you seeing in the broader industry for you?
So business is very challenging. All small businesses are very challenging in this environment. The number one issue for all of us is employees. Attracting them, retaining them. Right now, we're very lucky. We're currently fully staffed, but just last week I had an employee, a 5-year employee, share with me her resignation. She does an awesome job. She's been with us for 5 years. She loves her job, but she wants to return to be a full-time mom. So, I mean, the great resignation continues to happen in the United States. The supply chain continues to be very tenuous here. Lead times are long and continuing to get longer. We frequently get shorted on shipments on a weekly basis. Most of the products in the United States move by trucks. And with diesel being at all-time highs, that's made the situation even more tenuous. A lot of independent drivers are either leaving the industry or going to work for larger operators. So the trucking situation is not improving. The supply chain issues are not improving here. And then finally, inflation. I mean, inflation in our country is, the latest report was 9.1% on an annual basis. And this inflation is driven by the supply chain issues. You know, inflation can be driven either by lack of supply or by over demand. Well, demand is okay, but supply is really in the tank. And so this situation is not going to get better. Inflation is not going to get better until we resolve some of the supply chain issues in our country. So
yeah. And how are you addressing those, Jim? What's Boulder Sausage doing in these circumstances at the moment?
So we've been able to secure price increases from all of our customers. And so our dollars revenue per unit have gone up at the end of the second quarter. So for the second half of the year, our revenue per unit will increase. So that will help offset some of the inflation. It will really help us next year. So that's one of the things we're doing on the revenue side to try to offset the inflation. On supply chains, we continue to diversify our suppliers. We look at multiple suppliers. We do a better job of tracking our lead times and making sure that we're allowing plenty of time for lead time. So we're carrying more inventory, but we just have to in order to deal with the supply chain issues. And then we just learned to be jujitsu fighters. Every week we have a new problem, but we just learn. But you know, as you deal with these problems, you learn how to solve them. You learn for solutions, and so we are constantly solving those problems. And then finally, in terms of employees, I mean, we just awarded our employees with another raise July 1 in order to tackle and to help offset some of the inflation. We constantly work on training. We use a leadership style. And so we work with our employees because we want to give them a piece of the business and we want to try to retain them. So we work on all of those items trying to solve those problems.
Yeah, and you mentioned demand. So what is demand looking like for you at the moment?
Well, so today we just received our second quarter GDP number. It was negative again. So now we are unofficially in a recession. We've had 2 straight quarters of negative GDP. So our country now is in a recession, but people have to eat. And so that's the great thing about our industry is that we're pretty recessionary proof. We did see earlier in the year a movement towards, you know, after we came out of COVID, people were just so wanting to get out and eat out at restaurants and go to bars and socialize. And so we did see some decrease in demand at the grocery stores because people were eating out more. But now the inflation is hitting the restaurants. And as the price of eating out is going up, then we're seeing people now starting to eat more at home. And so we're starting to see the demand in the grocery stores pick up. The biggest problem we have is our customers, the grocery stores, they don't have people either. And so whether it's at the warehouse or it's in the grocery store, we constantly see out of stocks on the shelves because they simply, it's not us failing to deliver the product to the warehouse. We fulfill all of our purchase orders. It's them getting the product to the grocery store and then in the store, them being able to put it on the shelf. So the way we combat that is we have our merchandisers in the stores. We have our brokers in the stores. We're constantly talking to the meat managers and seeing what can we do to help them. You know, if we're there and they've got product in the back, we'll stock it on the shelf for them. So we'll help them in any way we can. And then we're also running more promotions because we're trying to pull more product through the grocery chain system in order to make sure that our product is on the shelves.
Yeah, and we're seeing a similar thing in the UK as well, Jim. The things you're talking about, inflation, supply chain. I mean, we've had a massive shortage of drivers. I think also adding to that was Brexit and the industry itself. You know, we've had seen exactly the same. And in education, what we're seeing is lots of demand for us to train drivers up, you know, for the government to invest in that. And so we've been lobbying quite a lot to get some changes made so that we can speed that process up. But the same thing here, it's the logistics issues have been very, very challenging. So you talked about staffing and how now you're fully staffed. What kind of things did you do to get there on that journey to get to a point where, you know, you've got your staff base and your employees well positioned?
So we had to change a lot of the ways that we recruited. And so we started changing the where we were going to look for employees. So we used to have a very formalized process, but you'd come in and you'd put in an application and you'd go through 1 or 2 interviews. We'd think about it, and then we might make you an offer. Now, if you come in the door, we interview you. If we like you, we make you a job offer right then. Yeah. We do not want you to leave because if you go down the street, somebody else may grab you before we take action. So the biggest thing we do is we take action now. We don't ponder the decision. We make a very quick decision, and we've landed some great people by doing that. They're still free agents until we reel them in, because we still have, we still have to go through some background checks, some drug testing, things like that. But we try to get them to work and working as quick as we can. So that's been the biggest change for us, and it's made a huge difference, because we were losing great employees just because we were taking too long to take action.
Wow. And it actually sounds like that's turned into a bit of an opportunity. It sounds like maybe you've now got people in your business you wouldn't have maybe considered before, and they're adding value. Would that be fair?
That's correct.
Wow, that sounds absolutely fantastic. So, before I move on to someone else, what are your key areas of focus at the moment then for Boulder Sausage? What are you looking to do?
So my main focus is, of course, retaining the employees we have, because without employees, we can't do anything else. All of our businesses are the same. It's the same in all small business in the United States. It all starts with employees. If you don't have employees, it doesn't matter if you have great customers, whether you have great products, whatever. You have to have employees in order to perform. So we're focused on making sure we retain our employees, that we treat them like family, and that we just keep them close to us all the time. And then really focused on earnings before interest and taxes. That's what I talked about. We've been able to secure price increases through all of our grocery chains, which is quite a feat. They never want to do that, but we've just convinced them all to do that. So that's definitely going to help our revenue in the second half of the year and for next year. We're also looking at products and customers who are low margin, and we're pruning them. We're getting rid of them. So we just have to do that. And so I would, the other thing we're looking at is I need to get closer to David, so some of that acquisition merger stuff can rub off on me. But we're constantly looking. We're looking at a tactical acquisition right now that would add food service to our business. And it would diversify our products, our customers. So we're looking at that to increase our revenues and our earnings before interest and taxes. And so we're just looking at acquisitions and trying to grow our business that way, because organically is just very difficult in this marketplace.
Yeah, wow. And one of the great things that you've touched on there about small business is that you can be a family culture. You can bring people together, and you can really get through tough times together when you can behave like a family and work like a family. And I think with the acquisitions, I think that's one of the huge benefits of being in the group. I think there's lots of people you can learn from. There's lots of methods of how we can do that. So it's fantastic to hear that that's your plans for the next 12, 24 months. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
Thank you. That was great. So David, I'm going to come to you now, seeing as Jim signposted to you and talked about all your mergers and acquisitions that you've been doing. So what's happening in your business at the moment, and what are you seeing in the taxi industry?
Well, very similar to Jim, actually, albeit we don't produce sausages, but I think it's a similar story where we're producing sausages, journeys, widgets, or whatever. It's the same headwinds we're facing: inflation, lack of staff, uncertainty in the market. I mean, if you think of what happened last century in terms of wars and pandemics and depressions, we've had all of that in 2 years. So, the fact that we're still here almost smiling means we've navigated through it well. And I think, it's very difficult to plan at the moment. And what as small businesses, what we've been doing, similar to Jim there, is we've kind of been forced to sort of relook at how we do everything. And interesting listening to Jim on retention. So we've been following the 2 R's since the pandemic started in 2020, which is recruitment and retention. Before 2020, I have to confess, we were very much customer focused, but not staff, or in our case, driver focused. We had drivers waiting to join us. If they weren't very good, we just get rid of them. rather than training them. Whereas now, and so all our budget went into marketing budget went into to the customer. Whereas now 50% of it goes back towards the driver. So we're regularly running academies across the UK near where we have sites to recruit drivers. And yes, we are getting those driver numbers up, but it's been hard work. And we've actually had to take a good look at ourselves in the mirror and go, well, actually, these drivers are revenue earners for us. You know, as Jim points out, without them, we can't sell a journey. It doesn't matter how good that journey is or how good that sausage is. Without those staff members representing you and doing the do, then you don't have a business. So, yeah, we've brought in incentives. We're doing one-to-ones with drivers. We've even set up part of the call center now is speaking to drivers on a weekly basis to make sure they're okay, if there's anything to do for them. And actually, we should have been doing this before. So each problem brings a new solution that actually makes us better. As regards to the fuel, obviously the fuel is running around about £2 a litre in the UK. I'm in Europe at the moment. It's pretty similar here as well, only in euros. So obviously that's brought problems in terms of our margins because we haven't passed that straight on to the customer as yet. So that has cut some of our margins. But obviously we're saving money elsewhere because we are buying companies or franchising. So companies come in and join us. So economies of scale mean that we can upscale, we can share staff. So that brings some of the overheads down. We can buy better because we're buying in volume. So although the costs are going up there, they're going down. So far we've managed to maintain profitability, but I think the real challenge will come in the winter with the cost of fuel, energy. We don't know what's going on with Ukraine and Russia, with the cutting off pipelines to Europe, and will the UK have to supply Europe, which will have an effect on us. They're talking about 6-day weeks, aren't they, in terms of traveling? They're talking about power cuts. So all these things are challenges I see ahead. With regards to taxis as an industry, we normally fare well in recessions because people start cutting back on car usage or sell the extra car on the drive, or and use taxis for those essential journeys. We kind of lose out on the night train, restaurants and so on, but gain with shopping and doctors visits and medical visits and more council contracts for social services. So it swings and roundabouts. But normally we do well out of recession because if there's high unemployment, then it's a profession people come into, and we can get more drivers on board. But we are still hindered by government red tape as far as training drivers. Each council has their own little quirky rules that you have to follow. There's not a national standard, which we're lobbying government for at the moment within the trade. So hopefully that will get better over time. But yeah, it's each month is a challenge. But the thing is, being a small business, as we all know, we can make decisions like that. There's no chain of command. It really is. We're in the driving seat, so we can look at the wind coming on and quickly change tact and move across in a different direction. So that's the beauty of a small business, and also because we're part of this great PLC, there's lots of experience that we can fall back on, and learn from. The M&A side is obviously helping our growth, and we're in an industry that hasn't really consolidated before.
Right.
So, and I think the last few years with COVID and some of these headwinds has made people think, I really need my hand holding, or I need to be part of something bigger. Same sort of feeling sat here with all you guys. You feel like you're part of something bigger and you've got that extra help. We're kind of doing that in the taxi trade as well, both in MBH and outside of MBH, sort of creating this brand to compete with Uber and Bolt and some of these larger American or European apps, so we can create a national brand. So we're coming up to being the largest independent private hire operator in the UK. I think we're ranking about the second or third at the moment. By the end of the year, we will be almost touching that number one spot. which it brings a lot of attention from both investors and people trying to acquire us. But we're not finished our journey yet. We're still growing. We've always said it was phase 1, phase 2. Phase one has been growing what we have organically and adding companies to the network. Phase 2, which will start rolling out towards the end of the year, is bring it all under one technology, aggregation. So we build a platform so large corporates can book through our platform, and that work we distributed across our network in the UK, bringing out a consumer app that is nationwide with one brand, as opposed to these legacy taxi companies with their names that are well known in that area but won't be known outside a 50-mile radius. So it's very exciting. I'm spending a little time, as you probably saw earlier, with my youngest daughter behind me with the kids. They get very involved with all things MBH and all things Take Me, because they hear me talking about it, and they all want to be entrepreneurs when they grow up, and I'm telling them don't. You never know where the next meal's coming from, but it's all good fun. I mean, there's been times I've had baked beans on toast and would have killed for a sausage, but that's part of the fun of running your own business, which is, even with these headwinds, it's still enjoyable, and I wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah, it's really interesting what you're saying, because regardless of industry, I think we're all seeing the same things. We're all being impacted by the same things. I mean, I got asked last week to do a 5-year plan, and I was like, really? It was only 2 weeks ago we had 3 ministers for the Department of Education in 3 days. A 5-year plan is going to mean absolutely nothing. But I do actually, there's opportunity in all this chaos as well. And I actually think we've been really good at zigzagging away through all these different things and actually also finding some benefits. And what you were saying about your team and how things have changed with your team, I think we've seen that a lot. And, I was talking to Vicky Smith over at Samuel Hobson, in care. They have a massive recruitment problem. It's a low paid job. There's huge demand. A lot of the carers have gone back into industry that supported during the pandemic, but then have gone back to their original industries. So, they've seen a lot of movement, and they've done things like put people on the real living wage, not the national minimum wage. And it's all about that retention and attraction piece that you're all talking about. So I think regardless of industries, that's really interesting. So in terms of your key areas of focus, then, what if you could narrow them down? What are your key areas of focus right now?
Focus is still on growth and mergers and M&A, but also on streamlining our systems, more automation. Not in terms of drivers, obviously they're not quite ready for driverless cars yet, but certainly automation and how people book using AI in phone technology, automated answering, and web booking and app booking. So getting everything onto the cloud, getting everyone on the same account system, and doing these same training systems. So across the UK, so streamlining everything. So that's the main thing at the moment, and also developing new technology as well.
Yeah, and I think your brand, the Take Me brand, is really starting to. You can feel it now. It's really out there in the marketplace. And I'm sure you don't make your kids wear Take Me branded T-shirts even on the. Oh no, that's awful. That's really bad. But definitely, you can definitely see you're close to that number one spot, and we're all rooting for you to get there, because there's no doubt you will. The work you're doing is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's all about the brand as well. And Take Me, actually, probably not appropriate for children to be wearing. Yeah, no, please take them. But,
yeah, brilliant. Thank you. So I'm going to move to Gary and Kevin. Obviously, you're both in the same industry, and then Joe and I will have a little chat about education afterwards. So if I go to you first, Kevin, and what's the current picture in your business, and what are you seeing across the industry?
Yeah, pretty sort of similar picture, really. I mean, demand is fantastic, which is good for us, because we're probably sending back 50% of the tenders we're rejecting. So we're managing to choose the tenders that we're going for, which is good. But on the other side of things, we've got long-term projects that have gone on for 18 months. We're getting suppliers now that are only sticking to prices for 2 weeks. So there's been some hideous price rises in steel, cement products, going up like 20, 30, 40%. So that's been difficult to manage. But the suppliers, the demand is fantastic. So we've got a huge pipeline of work. So that's good. But the staff, similar problems. But we've got Gilprime got quite a niche in the market. We've probably got one of the best reputations, and a lot of people do want to come and work for us. So it's our staff retention is probably better than anybody. It's just we've had people, lots of people have over 20 years. We run lots of apprenticeship training. We take on new apprentices every year in most, like from setting out to joinery to site fixing. So and some of those guys, we've got some of our senior project managers now that have started with us as apprentices. So that helps to keep the staff rate up. I mean, our turnover is certainly going to be up sort of 40-45% this year from last year. So, and we're managing to staff that at the moment. So, but it's looking healthy. I mean, this retail is very sketchy, quite slow, but prime residential is going crazy. And football stadia is very, very buoyant as well at the moment. There's lots of work going around football stadiums. So it's looking quite good.
Yeah, and you're preaching to the converted about apprenticeships. Like, I think they're absolutely, I will say this, invaluable to business. And it's really important businesses don't lose sight of, yes, there's the here and now, but it's that future development. And that's what I think Gilprime's done fantastically well, is developing that workforce for the future, isn't it?
Exactly. And we say it's the Gilprime way. And the only way to know the Gilprime way is to be on the whole journey. Like we take apprentices on, even if it's a 3-year apprenticeship, we always stick them to a 5-year apprenticeship, so that they're when they finish their 5-year, they're on the same wage as all the guys. So it's a 5-year journey, and at the end of that, they know how we expect things. They know what we demand and what we like, and so they become indoctrinated into the Gilprime way.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting what you said, that a lot of your senior managers now and senior leaders were apprentices, back in the day, because we see that a lot where there's that investment, it takes a lot of work with apprentices. There's no denying, it takes a lot of work, but that investment, they then very often become your long-standing employees in your business and your future talent. And then they're invaluable,
Exactly. It's the first year is always a difficult year for apprentices. I mean, it's a tough industry what we do, and certainly when we're sort of the retail projects, and we are working 7-day weeks. Obviously, we don't get them doing that for the first year. We do that on the first week, but they soon get working in the construction industry is a tough environment. Some could be long days, long weeks. So, but they get to know how to do things, and they become part of us.
Yeah, fantastic. And what about you, Gary? What you seen over at De Boulay? What's the current picture for your business and the industry that you're in?
Well, very similar to what Kevin said. So I'd probably be just repeating, knowing that geographically we are very close. However, the sectors are very different. So De Boulay specializes quite a lot in high-end hospitality, F&B kind of clients. The demand is quite high. Big groups are spending quite a lot of money in getting their spaces updated because they have done nothing through the COVID period. So, and people are out there. I think the one trend which I've seen is the working time has gone from Monday to Friday, and Friday people going and going out. It's now Tuesday to Thursday, definitely in the city where people are more seen in the offices. And then Monday and Friday, people are working from home. So I think that's the COVID effect. I don't know how it affects David for taxis and so on, but you can see that trend of Tuesday to Thursday kind of situation. Talent definitely is very key, but we have been lucky is the wrong word. I guess it's the same thing for Dubule as well. The teams who have been involved have been there since they started, and that's the beauty of being a part of the company when you start your journey. Albeit sometimes they would join another company, but they have always come back as well. So that's and it's a nice thing about having that niche where you're delivering such amazing product that people really want to come back and be associated with delivering that. So, but talent is very key, specifically now that you have more work coming in, the teams are growing, and then you're trying to find the right kind of talent to deliver that work as well, and then embedding them whilst you're having those growth pains. And you know, new team members, no matter an apprentice or whatever level you're looking at, need that hand-holding kind of situation in the beginning, and then whilst your team is busy, you're trying to show the new person joining in as well. So yeah, talent is very, very key. And the great resignation which Jim alluded to in the beginning has affected a lot of the companies. Dubule hasn't been affected by that one because of the high level of loyalty and the team bonding within the team, so which is quite good. But yeah, a lot of new projects, a lot of exciting projects, some great clients who are growing, which kind of brings it all back together very nicely for the team to look forward to a great, successful rest of the year, as it were. And
yeah,
take it from there.
And have you had to do a similar thing to Jim, where you've looked at those clients that you've need to then cut to make space for other clients, or are you out there and you're still managing everything, all the demand that's coming in?
There are certainly some clients you would naturally be, it's what is a good client who respects what you do, who works with you, collaborates, and also pays on time. So all those, if certain clients are not ticking those boxes, and then the others are, and giving you some amazing projects, and you don't want your team overstretched either, so you can't be taking everything, you can't be everything for everyone. So it is definitely strategically working with the right kind of client. So that's what Kevin alluded to, where you can be picky because you have that opportunity to be that, because you have so much demand, which is a nice place to be in. But supplier challenges, I guess we're all singing in the same, from the same hymn sheet. That challenge has been quite common within the industry for all of us. So I think, Kevin, you and I spoke whilst we were on our way driving to Netherlands for a wedding. We were having a chat with Kevin between the countries when the calls were dropping, when I would zoom from one country to the other. But yeah, it's, the prices not being kept for a longer period. So by the time you put the tender in and you come back and you're speaking to your subcontractor or the supplier, it has moved on. So it's how do you protect yourself? But this is the great thing about us working all together, because you can pick up the phone and speak to each other and kind of discuss what we are doing, what has Kevin done differently, or what we can learn from each other as well, which is quite nice.
And I've still got to get back to you about the fluctuation clause, but with the fluctuation clause, it's just not that easy to. So we work under various contracts. So the fluctuation clause is. So I've actually asked our guys to formalise that and put it into some structure, but it's turning into quite a document. So I want to get that over to you, but it's something that while we're in a position at the moment where we can impose fluctuation clauses, then that's what we're doing. And again, the clients that don't want to sign up to that, certainly if they're over-year contracts, they've got to be in there at the moment. So we can't put up with some of the price rises that's being imposed on us.
Yeah, so you've had to make some changes like that then to the business around contractual arrangements with your customers and contractual arrangements with your suppliers, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
So Gary, what's your key areas of focus for Dubule at the moment?
Growth in the right areas, obviously, and the teams. That's what just now that we have a good period, making sure that the projects are being delivered efficiently and profitably, and then looking after the teams as well, making sure we're not overstretching the mark and doing the right thing by the team. So those will be the two areas. And then definitely from regards to processes and procedures, making sure that we are doing that right now as well, aligning ourselves to the growth period. So yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the, honestly, it's one of the lovely things about a small business is people matter. Like, and I'm not saying they don't matter to big business, but we all know everybody in the business, don't we? We speak to a lot of people. We hear what's going on the ground. You know, I mean, they're facing challenges. Cost of living's going up for a lot of our employees and things like that. So we've had to put some measures in place to support them with that, because we want to keep them. You know, we want to keep them in the business and keep them out of poverty and in work. That's really our responsibility. So Kevin, what about you? What's your key focuses at the moment?
What we're focusing on quite a bit at the moment is Stadia and Premier League football clubs. We've worked with a few over the years. It always becomes the Premier League clubs always want a lot of work done in a very short period of time in the close season. So yeah, we're working with a few different companies at the moment and some collaboration so that we can we can do a lot more of those in the closed period. So, and that's working well. We've got an awful lot in the pipeline, and lucky enough, a lot of that is going to be outside of closed seasons as well. So, that's what we've spent a lot of time the last year or so working with different football stadiums and architects that do all the work for the football stadiums, and that's working well. So that's we decided that was a good focus for us, and it's working.
Fabulous. And Gary, just coming back to you, it's a bit of a side question really, because you do such a lot in the hospitality, hotels and restaurants and things like that. What are you seeing in that market? You know, I'm just a person that uses those kind of facilities, and I've loved being out. I have absolutely loved being in a hotel, going out for a meal, but I've seen our high streets changing. You know, some of the stores that were there pre-COVID and not, and we're starting to see joint working spaces and more food and beverage type places opening up and things like that. But what are you seeing in Dubule? Are you seeing a similar pattern?
Yeah, can I answer that question in a long-winded way? Apologies. Yeah. It's all such a mishmash of things, and you will see those trends quite a lot, and it's a bit close to my heart right now, because my entire career has been in construction related to the retail and the hospitality side. So Kevin was absolutely right. Retail is right now trying to figure out how to make sense of the post-COVID world and how the multi-channel business work together. Same is for hospitality. It's how do we capitalize on this, that people really want to come out and spend that. However, they are also working from home for at least a third of their time. So they're not coming into places they would normally do, but they are spending more time closer to home. So you will see the local high streets getting more of those cafe, very, very special restaurant-y type places opening up. So more high street based experiential places opening up. Retail would move towards a lot more experiential way of selling things as well. So there will be a lot more, yoga classes, and then you sell yoga wear kind of thing. So it will be a mix of an experience with retail, because people would want to have that immersive experience rather than just coming for a shopping experience. You will see that in the malls as well. You will see a lot of brands like golfing, adventure golf and things happening because people want to have that experience bit and not just go for a shopping trip, not just go for a dinner kind of thing. It comes together. And your millennial generation and the Gen Z, who are the new spenders of the economy, like that. And the same happens, and then that links back to Dubule in a way as well, is office is going to be experiential as well. And you will see that you probably are doing that for your own offices, that you, to keep your staff coming into the office, make it more attractive. You want it to be an experience. You want to give them a bit more to make that effort to come into the office. And so one of the things which I've been interested in is space as service, which becomes more hospitality-led office space. So you will see a lot more good barista coffees, and you will have a snooker table. So all those things will start coming into the office space, which then leads back to Dubule in a way, because then those people want us to be involved in even getting office spaces fitted out. So that kind of has been a nice segue to get different kind of client rather than focusing on hospitality. So there is this merger of services, if that makes sense. So retail, hospitality, and office is kind of becoming into one, and you will find spaces which cater. They want you to come in and not leave.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings it all together. So I hope I've answered your question.
No,
It's such a trend shift.
Absolutely. And obviously Acacia partnered with Geisha, one of the other companies in the group, during the first lockdown in 2020, with that exact concept in mind. This was about recreating the space, about making people want to come back into work post-pandemic, about making it vibrant and fun and a place people want to go. And it's evolved into so many more things. I mean, we changed our ways of working, and we have zones now, so people work with different teams in a working style they prefer. But even the companies in the group now share our offices. Our suppliers actually come and hot desk at our offices now. So we've really been able to build relationships with suppliers and things like that. And the nice thing about it is it was kind of we're in this together, and the way we're going to get through is together. And the group's got that feel. But I think our suppliers and our subcontractors and the people that we work with on different projects are also experiencing the same thing. And there's actually been something really joyful about that for me. Like, it's actually been really nice to see, and I hope it's something that does continue, over the next few years. So yeah, fantastic. Thank you for that. So Joe, finally over to you in UK sports. So, tell us what you're seeing in your business at the moment, and what the current picture is for the industry. And no doubt I'll chip in. I can't help myself with it being education, you know me. But go ahead. You tell us what you're seeing.
I mean, what a time for sports in the UK right now. Commonwealth Games is on. Lionesses are about to win the Euros. Premier League's just down the line. Being a Chelsea fan, I'm apprehensive of how that's going to go this season. So sports is great in the UK. I think people are now re-engaging back with fitness. People are now going back to the gym. I think health and fitness has become a bit more of a priority for people in their lives. I think COVID has taught us that we could all be a little bit healthier. Gyms are now open. Facilities, as Gary and Kevin said, facilities have been improved. So gyms have been expanding. And there's a big boom in the industry for new talent to train and take on new roles. So education has kind of got its own challenges, but in the fitness world, it's really going quite well for us. We're having the challenges around recruitment just through expansion. So we've primarily been focused in and around London. We've now taken our footprint across the UK. So we have a new academy starting in September in Bournemouth. We also have one in Newcastle and Birmingham. And we're expanding into Brighton as well. So we're really diversifying our footprint so we can help more people in more areas, and partnering with large gym chains to do that. In terms of education, we're finding certainly at UK Sports, we're finding a big shift on our typical learner. I think if you had looked at the company maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I think the average age of a learner may have been around 19 to 23. We're finding now that the average age for learners on our courses is more 27 to 30. So that may be a shift in terms of people perhaps being not happy with their working environment. I think we said previously on these calls that people are looking for side hustles, looking for additional revenue streams that they might enjoy. So rather than working in an office that they don't get the most satisfaction out of, evenings and weekends, could they go and be a yoga instructor, a spin instructor, teach circuits, or do boot camp? So you are finding a shift in secondary careers. I think, and also you're finding people around 45, 50 deciding that they want a complete career change, and they're moving, into a whole new industry and exploring that realm. So for us at UK Sports, it's really exciting. And last month was our biggest month for inquiries in the 10-year history that we have. So that's exciting. And I don't see that changing. I think with the sporting calendar that's coming up in the UK, people are it's very much in the public eye. And I think it will improve, certainly between now and Christmas. I'm expecting some good things.
So thinking about the PT industry, then, if we go back a little bit, we had gyms. The gyms were all shut. Then there was a load of people on YouTube, and everybody was doing training at home on YouTube. So what are you seeing now then? Are you seeing a mixture of people doing more at home and personal trainers doing a lot more training online, or are you seeing more in gyms or freelance trainers going to people's houses? You know, what's that looking like at the moment?
I think digital's here to stay in the fitness world, and I think that's always going to be a place for a PT. Certainly, if you're geographically restricted in terms of the gym you work at, I think you're always going to have PTs that are comfortable with technology, expanding their reach and footprint online. But also, I think a big part of the fitness and leisure world is the community feel and being part of that community, meeting your friends, having that social interaction at a gym. And I think, as Gary touched upon, I think what you've got is gyms now making their places, they're more fun to be at. You're finding they now have coffee bars, they have bars, they have restaurants, they've increased the pools to have steam rooms and saunas. So it's a more collaborative social space. So you might go there to the gym, but you'll end up playing tennis. Your kids will be at kids club there. There'll be crashes. They will then have a coffee afterwards. Some places that we work at now even have hot desk working environments. So you can almost work from that environment and go to the gym there as well. So digital online training will always be there. But I think face-to-face training is still going to stay. There has been a massive boom in online coaching, and that's very much got its place. But I think for traditional PTs wanting to interact with people face-to-face in group environments, I think the gyms are here to stay. And I think we've all discussed that kind of expansion of attention or retention of attention is going to be there for gyms. And, you know, hot desking, you know, you can now work at the gym, send a few emails, have a sauna, have a swim, back to your emails, play a bit of tennis, back to your emails, a bit like David does when he's in Spain. You can do that now. And so, yeah, it's definitely here. And I think education as a whole is going to be an exciting year for education. You know, outside of sports, I think there's a lot more people now have decided to re-engage. So adult learners re-engaging for succession planning, new skills. It's going to be an exciting time. And then you've got the newbies that have just finished school who are now looking at their kind of first steps on the ladder. We've heard what, you know, in Kevin and what he does in terms of that first step and nurturing into an organization. There's a lot of people out there now that are now looking at apprenticeships as a real viable option. Again, I think if you look historically, university and A levels was kind of 100% the route that you went down. Whereas now I think schools are acknowledging that apprenticeships have a real place in the market. And they're just as powerful as degrees in some cases to boost your career.
Well, they actually get a better return. UK PLC gets a better return on investment with apprenticeships. And obviously we've had the new skills bill that's now law. So we're seeing some changes, for example, in the careers advice and guidance in schools and things like that. So, but it was really interesting what you said, because it actually mirrors what Gary was saying about that collaborative space changing. Even in, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm better in the cafe than I am the gym if I ever go in a gym. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's becoming more of that being connected with people as much as it is about getting fit and healthy and so on. So you're seeing an increase in learners, you're seeing an increase in where you're going. So what's your focus for the next 12 months? I won't go any longer than 12 months because I don't think we can think beyond 12 months right now. But, what are your key areas of focus?
I think for me is to ensure we've made the right decisions in terms of our new footprint across the country. I think understanding that where we're at with that, embracing technology. So I think we need to be better with technology, engaging with our learners in different methodologies, using, corporate WhatsApp groups, for example, rather than traditional email. So looking at the focus around what does the customer experience look like, and then looking at what qualifications can we progress learners to. So we're very much a company that gives you a license to trade. So once you do a course that we offer, you are then qualified to deliver a service, be that sports massage or personal training or what that may be. But I think what you've now got is people then trying to develop their self-employed businesses that they have. So what could we do as an organization to take to the next level? And that may be specializing in exercise rehabilitation. It might be GP referral, working pre and postnatal, cancer rehabilitation. Those kind of areas are the areas that I think a lot of PTs will be looking to expand their personal training businesses in. So looking at footprint, embracing digital and new tech, and then progression for our learners to the next level of their careers.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting when you were talking about supplementary careers, and I think there's a few reasons why we're seeing that. So at Case, you were seeing exactly the same thing, and some of it is to do with increased costs of living on people, so they want a secondary income. Some of it's to do about security. There's been a lot of disruption. Some people are doing it because they want a complete life change. They want a different work-life balance. And some of it are thinking about where they want to go in the future. And they've almost treated the last few years as a reset button about how they want life to look. And obviously here in the UK at the moment, there's been and I think it's still going on, a national pilot around the 4-day working week, for example. So there's all this exploration going on, isn't it? And people are trying to find, where am I going to fit in this new world, if like different world, and where do I want to go from here? So we're seeing a very, very similar pattern as to why, but it isn't one reason. It's actually a multitude of reasons as to why people are making the decisions and choices that they're making. Right, so we haven't got very long left. We've only got about 5 minutes. So I'm just very, very quickly going to come back. I'm going to go around everybody and just say, give me one thing that's been of real value to you being part of the MBH group over the past few years. And then that just helps people understand a little bit more about us. So Jim, if I go to you, what's been your biggest value add being part of MBH?
Well, it's two things. First off, a lot of help with ESG. I mean, this is an area that as a manufacturer, we didn't really understand a lot about. So, I mean, MBH and especially you, Vicky, have been tremendous in helping us figure out how to identify and track our carbon footprint, but also starting to work on that. I was at Deal Fest with Harbor Club this week, and MBH and Unity Group are working on some really exciting things in the whole green energy world, which, I mean, it was just fascinating to hear some of the things that are going on. And then the other thing is mergers and acquisitions. While I was there, I was on a panel at Deal Fest just talking about my experience with MBH and what's happening. And afterwards, I probably had 12 people at least come up and want to talk to me about MBH and what's going on in there, but also giving me leads in the food vertical and potential acquisitions, both tactical and strategic. So those are the two areas that I've seen tremendous assistance from MBH. What
Thank you, Jim. And true entrepreneur, we never give one. We always give two answers. Kevin, what about yourself? What's been the biggest benefits for you over the years?
Well, certainly the collaboration between a lot of the construction companies within the group. As I said previously, all these companies previously were competitors, and you might go down with some of them. You might have had meetings with different MDs over the years, and you spot a few ideas, but you're really quite guarded. But as part of now the MBH group, we're quite happy to share. With Gary, we spoke about some of the fluctuation clauses. I'm more than happy to send over Gary fluctuation clauses, R&D, how we help with that. So we're helping each other. And that's something that's just been fantastic for everybody.
Brilliant, thank you. And Gary, what about yourself? If you could pick something over the past few years that's been a huge benefit.
I was going to pick the same thing as Kevin, because it has impacted us quite a lot in being, it's a very fragmented industry, construction in UK, and it's to have that network to to rely on, share ideas, and share best practices is quite an amazing thing. And also, number two, it's a big picture thinking, because being a part of being just a small company, as it were, or a medium-sized enterprise, you end up very much inward looking, whereas being a part of this makes you outward looking. Who is doing what? How are they doing it better to reach out? And so you're sharing that better thinking with each other. And so you're thinking bigger rather than just focusing on turnover growth and stuff within your business. It's also thinking of ESG and the impact you have, and how can you, if Kevin has a better apprentice program, then reaching out to Girl Prime and looking at it. So it makes you do better all the time, which is quite amazing, actually.
Yeah. And David, really quickly, something from you?
Yeah, all of the above, really. Ditto. Two things. First of all, very quickly, accounts. I think our team have got better at reporting KPIs and management accounts. They've really impressed me there, and they enjoy being part of the wider accounts community within MBH. So that's been brilliant. And finally, the experience on the M&A side, really, people like Paul Seabridge, Callum, who've, experienced all that, have given lots of advice and tips. So all of it, all good.
And super quick, Joe, one last comment from you. What's your biggest benefit? Collaboration
between business leaders. Yeah. That's how I'd sum it up. We've all got talents, we've all got experiences, and when they come together, it grows you as an individual and also allows you to, impart knowledge onto others within your organization. So that's powerful.
Brilliant. And on that note, that is what MBH is all about. We are in the power of collaboration. Thank you so much to the panel. That's been absolutely fascinating, fantastic to hear. And thank you for giving up your precious time, because I know how precious it is. For everybody watching, thank you for joining us. Do go and have a look at our website, mbhcorporation.com. And we hope to see you at the next event, which will be in October. So stay safe, and thank you very much, everybody, and take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.